Hello friends, before we start the video, I want to tell you that if you like my content, you can subscribe to my channel. By doing so, you'll greatly help promote my channel. Thank you. Lily had always loved her family's old house. The creaky stairs, the antique furniture, and the dusty books in the library all filled her with a sense of comfort and familiarity. But when her parents announced that they were going away for the weekend, leaving her alone in the house with just her two cats, she couldn't help feeling a little apprehensive. As night descended, Lily curled up on the couch with a book and tried to ignore the ominous creaking of the old house settling. But every little sound made her jump, and she found herself constantly looking over her shoulder. The cats, usually so playful and curious, stayed huddled together in a corner, their eyes wide with fear. Lily decided to distract herself by baking some cookies. As she mixed the ingredients, she hummed a tune to herself and tried to push her unease to the back of her mind. But then she heard something. Soft shuffling sounds coming from upstairs. Her heart racing, Lily turned off the oven and slowly climbed the stairs. She had always hated the darkness of the upper floors, with their narrow hallways and musty smells. But she couldn't ignore the sound. It seemed to be coming from her parents' old bedroom. Lily hesitated at the doorway, her hand hovering over the light switch. She took a deep breath and flicked it on. The room was empty, except for a few old pieces of furniture covered in dust sheets. But Lily could still hear the shuffling sound, now louder and more urgent. She followed it, stepping carefully around the corners and down the hall. And then she saw it. A figure moving in the shadows. It was tall and thin, with long fingers that seemed to stretch out towards her. Lily's heart pounding in her chest, she froze in fear. The figure turned towards her, and Lily saw that it had no face, just a featureless void where its features should have been. She couldn't scream. She couldn't move. The figure was holding a knife in its hand, and it was moving towards her. Lily's survival instinct kicked in, and she turned and ran down the stairs as fast as she could. She heard the figure following her, the sound of its footsteps ringing in her ears. She could feel its breath on her neck, could smell the musty scent of its clothing. And then, just as it was about to catch up with her, it disappeared into thin air. Lily collapsed onto the floor, gasping for breath. She wasn't sure if what she had experienced was real or just her imagination. Had she been dreaming? Had she imagined the whole thing? Called her parents, and they rushed home early from their trip. The family contacted the police, but they found no evidence of an intruder. No signs of a break-in, no fingerprints, no footprints. Lily never felt safe in the house again. She avoided staying there alone and eventually moved out altogether. But the memory of that night stayed with her, haunting her dreams and casting a shadow over her every thought. To this day, Lily wonders what really happened that night. Was there something sinister lurking in her family's old home? Or was it all just her imagination, fueled by the creaky old house and her overactive imagination? She may never know the truth, but the memory of that night will stay with her forever. My opinion? This story highlights the importance of trusting our instincts and being aware of our surroundings. It's also a reminder that sometimes things are not always what they seem, and that we should always be cautious and vigilant, especially when we're alone. At the age of 21, I was eager to move out of my parents' house and start my life on my own terms. I had always dreamed of having my own space and being able to decorate it in a way that reflected my personality. As I began packing up my belongings, I stumbled upon a box that had been tucked away in the back of my closet for years. It was labeled electronics, and as I opened it up, I realized that it was filled with old gadgets and wires. But there was something else in the box that caught my attention, an old VCR player with a stack of tapes next to it. I had never seen a VCR before, and I was intrigued by the strange clunking machine. As I picked it up and examined it, my father walked into the room and saw what I was doing. "Put that down," he said sharply. "It's not for you to mess with." His tone only made me more curious. Why not? I asked. What's on these tapes? Nothing that concerns you, he replied, his voice growing more agitated. Just leave them alone. But I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something important on those tapes. When my father left the room, I quickly inserted the oldest one and pressed play. At first, the tape was unremarkable. It showed my grandmother opening birthday presents, smiling and laughing as she unwrapped each one. But suddenly, the scene cut to something completely different. I watched in horror as my father, who was clearly in the throes of a severe mental illness, strangled my grandmother to death. I was frozen, unable to look away from the screen. My mind raced as I tried to process what I had just witnessed. How could my father have done something like this? And why had my family kept it a secret for so long? But there was no time to waste. I knew that I had to act quickly to prevent any further harm from happening. I called the police and reported what I had seen on the tape. Within hours, my father was arrested and charged with my grandmother's murder. The news of my father's arrest sent shockwaves through our family and our community. It was a terrible, heartbreaking time, as we all struggled to come to terms with what had happened. For me, it was especially difficult. I felt betrayed by my father, who I had always looked up to and admired. But I also felt guilty for not realizing the depth of his illness and the danger he posed to those around him. Over time, I began to heal from the trauma of that day. I sought therapy and support from friends and family, and slowly but surely, I was able to move forward with my life. But the experience left me with a profound sense of the importance of mental health and the need to be aware of the people around me. I learned that sometimes the truth can be painful, but it is always better than living in ignorance. Looking back, I know that calling the police was the right decision. It wasn't easy, and it caused a lot of pain and upheaval in my family, but it was necessary to prevent any further harm from happening. Today, I'm grateful for the courage I found within myself to confront the truth and do what needed to be done. And I am grateful for the support of those who helped me through that difficult time. My opinion. This story teaches us the importance of being aware of mental health issues and the potential danger they can pose. It also shows that sometimes the truth can be painful, but it is always better than living in ignorance. And finally, it demonstrates the power of courage and the need to take action to prevent harm.